What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Bottom Line on Sports. It's our weekly show about the intersection between sports and money. But before we get started, remember to subscribe, rate, and review. 5 stars only. You don't want a couple of Buckeyes like us to come looking for you. Without further ado, he's Jeremy Pink. I'm Jean-Jacques Taylor. The number of the week for you, my friend.
I'm ready.
516.9 million.
Oh, 516.9. One more hint. Is it football? Is it basketball? Is it
It's
give me
football. It's how much money Rutgers athletic department has lost since they joined the Big Ten. And as a numbers guy, I mean, you are the one with the MBA from Duke.
Mhm.
Is that a real number or a fake number for tax purposes? You know how you can make your business look like it lost $1 million, even if it made $100?
that never happens, Jacques. I don't know what you're talking about. I think when did they enter the Big Ten? It's about 20 years ago now.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Yeah. That sounds like a legitimate number to me.
Well, the
You know,
question is, how can you can why is it worth it for them to stay in the Big Ten? Is it the prestige of being a member of the Big Ten? Because it ain't doing their school any good financially.
yeah, I think it's a very good question. I think they probably look at it as not the absolute profit and loss of the athletic department. So yes,
Right,
they've lost 506. So figure that's what, 25 mil a year. So I
right,
think again, I know nothing about Rutgers other than it's about an hour and a half. It's about an hour drive from where I live. Uh,
right,
and I actually did one deal with Rutgers a few years ago, but that's another story. But but the thing is that they probably look at it and say, okay, what is it? What's the marketing value of that? Does that attract better students? Does it attract better professors? Does it create
right,
better visibility for them? So is there a non-cash value that's greater or less than 25 million by being
right.
in the Big Ten, by appearing in nationally televised games when they were, they weren't televised in the past much nationally at all? Uh, that would be my guess. But it's tough. I mean, the reason Rutgers entered the Big Ten in the first place is to get a New York City market into the Big
Right.
Ten, so they could put the Big Ten network on the Northeast cable and satellite TV systems. Same reason Maryland joined the Big Ten, so you get it in the DC area as
This
well.
year,
Yeah, and so that
I
was sort of
did.
yeah, it was a catalyst.
I did some quick research. They joined the Big Ten in 2014,
Oh, it's
and
been wow.
it's
I
only
thought it was
been 10
longer than
years.
that. Yeah, so
No,
that's it's
and
only t
yeah, I think this popped up because they topped this year. They had a deficit in their athletic department of 78 million. The third time in 5 years they've had more than 70 million, and
that's a
so
lot. Yeah, that's a lot. I think they have, and the coach, Greg Schiano's the coach. He's a former,
right,
Buckeye as well. I think he laments the fact that they just don't have the budget to compete in the Big Ten. I think he's a pretty
no,
decent coach.
no, he's a good coach.
Yeah, but what they can become is Rutgers is becoming sort of a farm team or a AAA team for other programs as well.
Yeah,
And there's a lot of it's not like Florida or Dallas or Southern California, but there's a lot of high school football talent in the New Jersey area. There's a lot of
right,
recruits, and some of them will stay home and go to Rutgers. The ones who aren't sort of as prized as some of the guys who go to the Ohio States or the Southern Cals of the world. Um, they'll stay at Rutgers. They'll stay there for a year or two, and then they'll transfer.
yeah. Which is what happens at every program that's not one of those
Hmm.
real contenders.
Hmm.
You become a whether you're feeding to a place like Rutgers or whether you're feeding to a place like Ohio State.
Hmm.
Everybody who's not one of the big fish becomes a feeder in their own
Yeah,
right.
yeah. Well,
Move. Go
yeah,
ahead.
no, but sorry, but it's the reason Indiana's able to compete is that they've got the money to compete now. Rutgers just
Yeah,
doesn't have that money.
no, and they aren't getting it anytime soon,
They are
especially
not.
with
Yeah,
an athletic department bleeding money.
and also
Move.
also the New York City area, the New York City market where I'm in is one of the most disinterested college football markets in the country. It's
Right.
it is not widely followed at all here. So the promise of Rutgers joining the Big Ten and the blossoming of interest in college football hasn't really materialized. And I think Rutgers athletic department is probably feeling that as much as any other team in the country right now.
We had the moving on. We had the NFC, AFC championship games last week. We now know we've got a rematch in the Super Bowl. New England versus the Seattle Seahawks. Should be a terrific game. But can you get to the game? Ticket prices. I saw one number, 53,000, made me laugh. Have you seen what numbers have you seen?
Yeah, I've seen. Yeah, I've seen. I don't think you're going to get a decent seat for anything under 4 to 5 grand this year, is what I've seen.
Okay, that's based off of today. As somebody who's been to 25 Super Bowls, had several friends who sold Super Bowl tickets, had several friends who acquired Super Bowl tickets. Yes, if you want to go to the game, now you got to spend some money to get to the game. But if you want to go, I feel confident you can get tickets to the game. All right. Now, number one is don't even think about buying tickets before Wednesday night. Don't even think about it.
Before Wednesday night of the game.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't even think about it. Because, and then really, once you start thinking about it Thursday, can we make this happen? Even then, unless you get a good deal, take your time. Because like anything else, this is sold on the secondary market.
Mm-hmm.
The closer you get to the game, the more the people who have those tickets to sell them go, we ain't trying to get stuck now. So what became a $10,000 ticket on Wednesday, that could be a $4,000 ticket on Saturday. Now, for those of you who are really adventurous, you can go to the game and start looking on game day, but that's always a crapshoot.
Mm-hmm.
Friday night, Saturday morning is really the time
Mm-hmm.
if you try to make a deal
Mm-hmm.
to go make it happen, because the secondary market is now like, we got to unload them. We don't want to get stuck, and you're in a much better bargaining position. That's if you really want to go to the game.
Yeah, I think it's good advice. You know, some of the advice I give to people here, just the exact same thing happens. If you want to go to a Brooklyn Nets game, which if you're in the New York area, I highly recommend. It's a beautiful, the Barclays Center is a great facility. But what I always tell people is go to Brooklyn, which is the Barclays is very easy to get to. Go to Brooklyn if the game starts at 7:30. Get to Brooklyn at about 5. Have a drink. Go on to StubHub. Go on to Game Time, and you're going to get a ticket for about $15-$20 most nights, because for exactly the reason that you just said, people just want an hour before the game, they're just going to unload them. It's not going to be the same, but I do think that, do you think that the high prices then are a function of buyers creating a secondary market that is artificial, or do you think there's actually demand for it, or both?
Both, because there are some people, like if you have a certain amount of income
Mm-hmm.
and your team is Seattle and you've been to the Super Bowl, you haven't been there in a decade or whatever, and you've only been there 4 times since 1976, this ain't a regular occurrence for you. So if you got a certain amount of money, you might be like, hey, baby, we're going to the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
I just saw the tickets were $8,000 a piece. We are locked and loaded, baby. Let's go. That's if you got a certain amount of money. If you're New England and you've really been there a lot over the years,
Mm-hmm.
you may be like, oh, we got the new coach. We got the young quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
We've already done this thing for one dynasty. This
Mm-hmm.
is the start of dynasty 2.
Mm-hmm.
So, maybe we go, let's see how the tickets look, and we'll figure out if we want to go to this one, or we'll wait for them the next time they go in a couple of years or whatever. So I think it's 2 different approaches. And then because you got to remember, Super Bowl ain't for your hardcore football fan.
Mm-hmm.
Super Bowl is an event. It's an experience. You go down there and you experience the NFL fan experience where you do all the silly stuff and have fun. I mean, it's just a whole shebang. It's a whole time.
Yeah, it's far more than just a football game, for sure.
Right. The game is almost kind of anticlimactic at the end.
Right.
So you got to figure out. So for certain people, they're like, let's go. I'm all in, especially from Seattle, because they haven't been in a minute. Well, if you got some disposable income,
yeah,
I think that. But then quickly, the tickets flip, I think. So they start out high, and then after that initial burst and rush of adrenaline from fans scooping them up, because
Mhm.
they don't have somebody like me to tell them, hey, wait till the Wednesday before. They're like, oh my God, we gotta get tickets. And so they panic and they go buy early. Yeah, so some of those people, especially, if you make a couple $100,000 or more a year and you got some disposable income, you're like, this is one in a lifetime thing. Let's do that thing.
Yeah, it's that's really fascinating, and it makes a tremendous amount of sense. Here's why, once you say that, something immediately occurred to me. Think of the geography. Seattle is really close to San Francisco, much closer to San Francisco than it is to New England. So if you're a Seattle fan and you're a savvy Seattle fan looking for Super Bowl tickets, do you just book a trip to San Fran, kind of hang out there? It's not going to cost you that much money to get to San Francisco. Book a trip to San Francisco, get a hotel, get an Airbnb, get whatever it is you can get, and kind of hang out there and then try to buy your tickets once you're on the ground. Because, and to me, that also kind of
Oh, yeah, yeah,
implies,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
it also
Because
kind of,
you'll be able to buy them on the ground if you want to.
yeah, but
And
what
check
it,
this out, bro.
yeah, well, hold on, but it implies to me that that means this crowd could be very pro Seattle just based on the location.
No, it's going to me, it's going to be like Indiana in the Super Bowl. It's not quite that extreme because Seattle's been good, but Seattle hasn't been in a minute. It's right down the coast. It's only a 12-hour drive. You get there easily in a day.
Hmm.
And so the city is going to be taken over by Seattle. And there'll be a lot of people, I think, who will wait, and it'll be a Seattle partisan crowd, I think, for the reason you said, especially when you combine it's a 6-hour flight from Boston, and the Patriots have been there a lot before. So
Right,
again, this is not new for the Patriots. I mean, it was just there like 4 years ago.
right.
So it's not even like, and I'm gonna use the Cowboys. It's not even like when the Cowboys had their run in the '70s, and then 15 years later, this new iteration showed up.
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay, that's kind of a generation that missed out on the Super Bowl.
Hmm.
So they're like, "Oh, we're back. Let's go." The Patriots was just there a few years ago. I mean, it's the same generation, so it's like, hey, this is what we do. We go to the Super Bowl, no
Yeah,
matter who our coach and
yeah.
quarterback is.
Yeah,
So I,
I do think. I mean, again, so much of the Super Bowl seats though are corporate and are allocated to non-fans. However, the fans that are there, I think, are going to be overwhelmingly Seattle fans.
no, I think so, and it'll be interesting to see where the tickets go. I don't even know what. Let me see if I can find it. I remember. I'm dating myself now. I think my first Super Bowl. Well, the tickets. I remember when the tickets were less than $1,000.
Hmm.
When they were like, I want to say like 650. And now I'm about to Google it right quick because this is what we do. It's our show, so we can do it in real time. Um,
But the lowest face value that I saw for this year was 950, and that was by far the lowest face value, and I don't think any of those are being allocated really to any real fans. And I think sort of the legitimate face value is going to go for close, that people will actually, lucky enough to buy or get allocated are going to be at least
uh,
2,000.
yeah, I just looked up probably what you looked up. It said 950 to 8,500 face value, depending on where the seat
Yeah,
is.
that sounds about right.
Um, I'm telling you, like when the league, as a former beat reporter, used to be able to petition the league and ask for 2 Super Bowl tickets, and 99% of the time you got them.
Hmm.
And I remember some friends of mine had gotten them, and I haven't been to the Super Bowl probably in a decade. Um,
Did you go to the last Seattle New England game or not?
I think I was there.
So it made a huge impression on you.
Well, I'm not bragging, but I went to 25 of them in a row.
Yeah.
And then I did. Then like when I was working radio at ESPN, we'd go for the week of the game and leave on Friday.
Hmm.
So it's like I was there, but not
Oh,
at the
I see.
game.
I see. You weren't there for you weren't actually there
Right.
for the game. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So sometimes I get it mixed up
I see. I see.
when my last game was.
Yeah,
Although
yeah.
I gotta tell you something. It's a good segue. Well, let me finish this point. I think the tickets we used to get, they would not be the 950 because they were already more than 1,000 when I stopped getting
Right.
them, or friends of mine stopped getting them. They're the tickets that reporters probably have access to now are probably 1,500 a piece,
Hmm.
something like that, maybe a little bit more.
Hmm.
The thing about covering the Super Bowl is it's unlike any other game, and here's why. Normally, I covered 25 Super Bowls. I was in the press box for one of those. There's so much media there, they build an auxiliary press box outside.
Hmm.
And normally it's a warm other spot, so it's not a big deal.
Hmm.
Unless you're covering it during a rainstorm in what was it, the Colts and the Saints, I think.
Colts and the Saints, yeah.
So they have it outdoors, so you're sitting outside. And then because you got to go leave your seat and get to the press conferences after the game, you spend the fourth quarter of the game. At the end of the third quarter, you usually walk down the ramp all the way to the bowels of the stadium,
Hmm.
and they have a media room set up there. And dude, you're at the Super Bowl. You watch the fourth quarter of the Super Bowl in a big media room on a TV.
Hmm.
So
It's what I tell people. It's the glamour that is television and newspaper reporting. I mean, there's
no,
no
bro,
glamour to it. Yeah.
you're watching the last fourth quarter,
Yeah.
the most exciting. I watched Antonio Holmes catch that pass on about a 50-inch TV. You know, so once you've done the experience once, if you're fortunate enough to ever do it, um, you're far better off watching the game at home on your. Well, I'm talking now on your 100-inch high def TV because I'm a TV nerd.
You've got a
Than you
hundred.
are.
You've got 100-inch TV.
Yes,
Wow, how is it? You like it or not?
I love it.
You do, and that's what you watch with multi-view?
Yeah. Uh, well, let me rephrase that. It's a projector screen, but I got a 100-inch, but I got an HD projector, so
Oh, I see.
it
Okay, so
it
it's
looks like a
equivalent. Yeah.
TV.
Our biggest is we have a 75-inch here.
Right
Um,
now, I get judged on that. I got one of those in my bedroom and one of those in my game room, and so
look at you, man. I'm
no,
telling you.
no, no,
You
no.
know,
no.
being
I mean,
being being a beat reporter is like, it's big money there,
no,
Yeah.
I'm gonna let y'all in on something. Um, much of this was I used to do a lot of radio shows for a lot of different people, and it got to the point where my main station I was working for a period of about a decade, they didn't really pay me, and so and it was cool because it was good publicity for me and
Mhm.
good exposure. But
Mhm.
at the end of every year, they'd say, "Hey, we have an agreement with this high dollar, high powered electric company in town. We'll give you $3,000 credit. Go over there and get whatever you want."
Oh, I see.
And so I go take that 3,000. I might add 1,500 to it,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and I've got the best of the best. Every year I'm upgrading and adding, and that's how I became a TV nerd. I had a plasma TV on my wall probably in 2006 or seven. Basically, whenever they first started coming out, I had one like that, and now I overpaid for it because it was about a $10,000
Yeah.
TV.
You're an early adopter. You early adopters
Dude,
always pay for it. Can
and you
I?
know what happens as a guy who's been a CEO? You know what happens when you're talking, when you're dealing with the owner and you're walking around, you go, wow, that is cool. Let me look at that. He said, yeah, man, that's like a $10,000 TV. You like it? Yeah. I'd get to you for $4,000.
I, I,
Okay.
I'll tell
Now,
you.
I don't have 4,000. I'm trying to figure out, but I've already committed. So I'm trying to figure out how to explain this to my wife when I show up with a $4,000 TV.
Yeah.
But I managed to make it happen.
When I was running programming for CNBC, a while ago, I had an office. In my office, I had a giant, high def TV, whatever, in the
Right.
middle, and then around it, I think it was 8 different smaller TVs in one wall of my office, and
See?
then I had that was my main office, and then right next to it there was like a sitting area where people would come, we would,
Right.
you know, visitors would come. I had 3 more giant TVs in there. So,
Now, I guess when you're in charge of programming, you need to see what's on at all
well,
times.
what I used to do, I probably shouldn't say it here. What I used to do is it's on Sundays when I didn't have a lot to do and I would drive into the office and I would just sit in my office and I'd have all the games up, at the time, and it was great. It was
No,
great.
I believe that.
Yeah.
Bottom line for me when it comes to Super Bowl tickets, wait until at least Thursday morning, the week of the game, before you make a move and try to buy some tickets.
Hmm. Bottom line for me on Super Bowl tickets, if you can afford them and you want to go, I agree with what Jacques said earlier. Just go once in your life. It's totally worth it.
Okay, I'm backtracking for a second. Have you ever been to the Super Bowl?
I've never been.
Oh, okay. See,
Yeah. Um, I've lived vicariously through a lot of people I know who've gone. I've had the opportunity to go. I've had the opportunity to go about 3 or 4 times, but my schedule didn't allow me to go for whatever reason. But the other thing too is when I lived overseas, particularly when I lived in Asia, I used to, because of the time difference, I used to watch the game uh, at a breakfast at 7:30 in the morning. And I'd go wherever I was. I'd have a big screen TV, watch the game with like a bunch of people at 7:30 in the morning, and we'd have, breakfast or brunch. It was great. Fantastic.
uh, let's move on to something that you sent me a text earlier today.
Mhm.
I gotta tell you, I was a little shocked by this. Top selling NBA jerseys, and people, y'all will be shocked. I think anyway, because number one selling jersey, well, I'll give you the top five. Steph Curry. Wow.
I was
Luke,
shocked. I was shocked by that.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Luka Doncic, former Dallas Maverick. That
Uh-huh.
still pisses me off to this day. He's number two. Jalen Brunson, former Dallas Maverick. They played
Right.
together. It's insane. I
Uh-huh.
can't believe he's the third best player. Victor Wembanyama, I'd have thought he'd have been higher. And then rounding out the top five, King James, number five.
Okay.
I'm shocked by that.
So here's my takeaway from the top five. I'm glad you did the top five. Here's my takeaway. Curry, number one, iconic. LeBron James, number five, iconic. Okay. These are all-time greats. All right.
Right?
Iconic. But they're obviously at the end of their careers, but they're still in the top five.
Right?
Luca, number two, second biggest television market in the country.
He's also going to be an iconic
Yeah,
player
but
before.
but second biggest TV market in the country.
Right?
Second biggest city in the country. Jalen Brunson, second biggest city in the country. Victor Wembanyama might be turn out to be the best player in the history of the NBA when all is said and done. But what it tells me is that sort of the good players who you would think would be attracting a lot of the attention, they're not really there. And I'm wondering what happens when like LeBron is clearly having a lower impact year than he's had in the past. Curry and the Warriors are no longer, really competitive at all. Um,
Right?
that's only gonna continue to move in those directions. When those guys leave the league, what happens to the league? Is there a vacuum of players who's gonna fill that vacuum of players? Maybe Luca, maybe Wemby, but I
I
think the
think I think definitely Luca.
but the problem with Luca and Wemby is they're not American, and I don't think they're going to have the same impact or cachet that there is no real iconic American player out there right now. Maybe
Um,
maybe your boy Cooper, who's I think number 11 on the list, which is surprising, but
the thing about Coop, now this is a very interesting conversation, because you can take it on several different levels. Level number one is at one level, I don't know how much it matters if they're American because the NBA has become such a European game. I mean, Jokic. There's so many European stars that I don't know that it matters per se if there's not the one American hero.
I think it matters tremendously. I really do. I think it matters. I think it matters
Uh,
tremendously.
but I don't know who it's going to be. And maybe that's your whole point. Can't be
Yeah.
Jalen Brunson. He ain't good enough.
Oh my gosh. I mean,
I mean, he's a great story, but he ain't good enough to be.
do
But
you
when you
like?
look at it, Anthony Edwards is good enough, but I don't know that he cares enough.
Yeah, I agree with that.
See, to be an iconic player, you have to both be good enough and you have to care that you are that guy.
Hmm.
Like Jordan was good enough, and he cared that he was that guy.
Hmm.
And then LeBron showed up, good enough, definitely cared that he was that guy. But like you look at the other American players, Jason Tatum,
Yeah.
Tyrese Maxey.
Too
Like,
small.
see, here's the other thing. Even Cooper Flag, and here's where I was going. um, I think Cooper Flag is going to be terrific. I mean, he's averaging like 19, 7, and 7 or something like that this year, shooting 50% from the field. I don't know that he has the charisma to be like that. Like, I haven't seen he plays hard, he plays great, he does this, but he doesn't have that it factor. Like, Luka has an it factor. You're
Well,
drawn to him,
yeah,
you
yeah,
got to
yeah.
watch him play.
I think you
Um,
need a special sort of quality, you know? And I think Cooper Flag does everything well. Like Curry's a great three-point shooter. Luka's an unstoppable offensive force. LeBron is the smartest player probably we've ever seen, and also maybe the best athlete we've ever seen. Cooper Flag is like really good at just about everything, but there's nothing that stands
that's
out
what I
about
mean.
him. Yeah.
His personality doesn't have charisma, and his
Mhm.
game doesn't have charisma.
That's a great way to say it. His game doesn't, it's a great game, but, and I'm a Dookie, I'm an Ohio Stater, but also a Dookie. By the way, Con Knipple, have you seen that guy play?
No, I've heard it, but I don't like to say his name. It sounds like I'm getting in
Yeah,
trouble.
yeah. It sounds like it's like things that sound dirty but actually aren't. Con
Yeah,
Knipple. Right?
he
Yeah,
falls into that category.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It was like there's a famous David Letterman sketch years ago. It was like phrases that sound dirty but aren't. And like number one was shaking hands with Abraham Lincoln, which I always thought was funny. But anyway, but Con Knipple is great, but he's also I didn't realize how big he was. He even looks big on an NBA court, in terms of
Right.
just physical stature. But back to this, when LeBron and Curry go, we'll see what happens. Always somebody steps into the
I was
void.
gonna say somebody
Yeah,
always
yeah.
emerges, but I was gonna say like Jason Tatum, Tyrese Maxey, they don't have the charisma to their games or their personalities
Hmm.
to be that guy.
Hmm.
Kevin Durant's still at 12, but he's about to fade away.
Hmm.
Cade Cunningham, who's from Dallas, Donovan Mitchell, again, their games are great, but I don't know that they have the personality and the charisma to
Right.
capture that. So
Shea is what? I don't have a list in front of me. Shea was like 6 or 7, right?
he's 7, but his game is not. His is a herky
I'll tell you.
jerky, get on your nerves game. He
Well,
ain't got no personality.
two players who I think they're great, and I think, and I'm not disparaging them in any way, but I just find so hard to watch are Shea and Jalen Brunson. I just find them so difficult to watch because Jalen Brunson to me is like he's just a ball stopper most of the time, and it's like
Well,
watch, yeah, I find him just very difficult to watch.
now we're not going to turn this into a Dallas Mavericks segment, but that's why they could. That's why he and Luka couldn't play on the same team. They're the
Oh, that
same
makes sense.
type
I
of
didn't know that. That
player,
makes yeah, that makes perfect sense. Yeah,
and Luka is 1,000 times better. So
yeah.
you had to let Brunson go, even though you knew he was a fantastic. Now you didn't know he was going to be this good. You
Hmm.
really didn't. Otherwise, you'd have kept him, signed him, and then traded him
Right,
because you'd have got a king's ransom for him.
right, right.
But once he got the ball in his hands all the time, I mean, but he's a herky jerky force, and yeah, he's not for everybody. He doesn't play a pretty game, an aesthetically pleasing game, but not a lot of people in the NBA do these days.
Right. Well, that's true too. Yeah. I'm just surprised that like Wemby hasn't broken out a bit more. And maybe he will this year if the Spurs have some sort of run in the
Hey, bro,
playoffs. Yeah.
he got to stay healthy.
Yeah.
He's already been hurt once
Yeah,
this
it's
year.
true.
If he's healthy, all those things will happen because they'll be good. They'll be hard to beat. They may even win a championship this year if he's healthy.
Wouldn't it be great if they were both healthy? If you had a 76er Spurs final and you had Embiid and Wemby in the final.
Oh,
That would be
yeah,
that would be
but I have
fantastic.
I have no confidence that
N-
in
n-
when in Embiid will be healthy.
Yeah. It would be,
Uh,
yeah, yeah. It would be like watching like the 1970s, 1980s NBA where like
yeah,
you,
but
you have all these great centers. Yeah.
you're gonna have a great rivalry, I think, with Oklahoma City and San Antonio because don't forget Chet is skinny, but he's 7'4" or something
Yeah.
like
Well,
that,
yeah, Chet's huge. Yeah.
and he's athletic, and he's one of the few people that can. Now he's not as good as Wimby,
No.
but he can at least match up with him out there at the 3-point line. I think that's going to be, and
Well,
the Spurs have beaten them 3 times this year,
yeah, I was going to
so
say the Spurs seem to have their number, or
yeah, because they can
at least
match
the
up with
regular
them.
season. Yeah.
So I think that's it. You got Jokic. So I don't know,
You
but
think
anytime the
wait, hold on. Do you think
NBA has had,
Jokic is the best player in the NBA?
oh yeah, I don't think there's any doubt about
Yeah, me
that.
too. Me too.
But anytime there's ever been a question, oh my God, Magic and Bird are leaving and Jordan's leaving, what's going to happen? Somebody emerges. Somebody will emerge from this group, or maybe they're in college right now.
Maybe.
Uh, they in the NBA world, maybe they're in high school right now.
Hmm.
Maybe they're a sophomore in high school, and in 4 years they'll be in the NBA, and we'll be like, oh my God, this is the
Could be.
second coming.
Could be. Could be.
But I'm impressed that Curry is number one because Curry, he's the only guy on this list, I think, who literally changed the game.
Hmm.
I mean, literally changed the game. People
Hmm.
were not shooting threes the way they shoot threes until Steph Curry showed up and started shooting from half court. And he's
Yeah.
got 7-year-olds who can't even shoot, launching the
Well,
ball like
you know,
that.
I was talking to somebody the other day about this, and I said, when people look back on the NBA from the, 2010, 2020s, I think the player that's going to have a bigger impact when people look back 30 years from now is Curry, not LeBron. Even though I think LeBron is
It
an
has to be.
unbelievably amazing player, Curry actually had a greater impact on the game, I think.
Oh, there's no question. It has to be Curry because you can't, you know, LeBron stuff does stuff because he's 6'9", 250 that no other person
Hmm.
can do.
Hmm.
Um, Curry's just a skill. I
Hmm.
mean, that's why Caitlin Clark can come out here and shoot from the logo
That's
because
true.
why? She saw Steph Curry doing it and decided, and the reason why it's become so prevalent is you can't replicate the stuff LeBron does because I'm not 6'9", 250.
Hmm.
I can do what Steph Curry does. I just got to put up 1,000 shots a day. I can
Hmm.
do it in my backyard. I
Hmm.
can ask the coach for a key to the
Hmm.
gym.
Hmm.
I can go 24-hour fitness and work out and shoot all night long. You can make that thing happen because it's a skill and it's practice. And that's why there's so many good shooters now. It's all Steph Curry influence.
It really is. It's remarkable. As you know, both of my kids were pretty accomplished basketball players, and you would watch over the years the impact of the three pointer. And it got the impact got greater and greater and greater every year. And by the time my daughter graduated from high school and my son graduated from high school, you had these phenomenal high school three-point shooters.
Yeah.
It was remarkable. And if you would have looked at that in, 2009, 2010, they would have been there. But by about 2018, 19, 20, all of a sudden you had an explosion of these kids who could all shoot. And in fact, I remember coaches telling me that they had kids who they could shoot three pointers
Yeah.
much better than they could shoot free throws
Yeah.
because
Because that's
because
what they
to your
worked
point,
on.
that's all they practiced. That's right. And it's pretty
Um,
remarkable.
no, my son was like that. He'd be practicing his three
Mhm.
all the time. Because that's what everybody wanted to shoot. And then when you hit the three, you got to have, we're going to do this. We're going to do this. You got to get your celebrations down
Yeah.
for what you're
But
going to do on the way
yeah,
down the court.
but my daughter, as you know, my daughter was like 1,000 point scorer in high school, and she was a good three-point shooter. And that really, it really opens up the game for any guard too. If you can shoot a
Yeah.
three-pointer, but you can also go to the basket, you're
Now, was
you're
she
a
a
yeah.
was she a corner three or a wing three or a straightaway three?
She was wherever she played point, so you know, she was wherever that secondary pass went, and she would shoot a three. So it
See,
just depends.
she had all done. My guy was a corner three guy.
Yeah, that's good. My son was a sniper. He was really, but he was, you know, but he was small, so he was a guy who sat in the corner and shot threes, and but anyway, not that anybody cares
Man,
about our kids playing basketball, but I do.
no.
So,
I just had a thought. We need to get me and my son and you and your son and play 2-on-2.
oh, I'm sorry. We'll play to 15, and I'll give you guys a 13-point lead. You guys have no chance, no chance.
I like the confidence
Yeah,
there.
no
Bottom
chance.
line for me and AJ will kick the Pink family's ass in
Not
basketball.
only, bottom line for me, not only will you not kick our ass, I'll put as much money as you want on it because we have size, we have skill, and we have speed. So there's no chance. No chance.
Moving on to Ohio State.
Of course, I would probably pull a hamstring in about
I
like
wasn't gonna say anything.
right.
Uh, they, they hired Arthur Smith as the offensive coordinator this week, and I got to tell you, my first reaction was the same reaction I had when they hired Matt Patricia last year. And I said, well, I can't really tell you what I said. It was
Yeah,
string of
right.
expletives. And I go, I don't view this as no positive. I haven't thought Arthur Smith was a good offensive coordinator in forever.
Mhm.
But then I thought more about it, and somebody pointed out that his dad was the founder and CEO of FedEx, so maybe that means we get more money.
Is he
He's sitting
Fred
off.
Smith's kid? I didn't even know that. I didn't even
Yeah,
know that.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, that's been out there,
Oh, I didn't know
and
that.
maybe that would help with the NIL situation. And then somebody else pointed out, and I said, okay, I'll try to be positive. And they said that think about Matt Patricia, what happened when you gave him NFL caliber talent, and he got to coach against lesser talent. Because at the NFL, everything's the same.
Hmm. Hmm.
For the most part, all the players are the same for the
Yeah,
most part.
yeah.
Whereas in college, there's a difference between my guys and your guys.
Hmm.
So they said when Matt Patricia given a talent advantage, his coaching really escalated. So maybe the same thing will happen with Arthur Smith. And then my last thing I'll say, bro, is intellectually, it made sense to me. Why? They couldn't run the ball really last year. Arthur
Hmm.
Smith is good at running the ball.
Hmm. Yeah, well, I have a sort of a silly comment, which is I don't think any NFL coach should be allowed to be named Arthur, but that's a different story. I think that I had the same reaction when Matt Patricia got hired that you did,
Right.
and because I thought I really thought he was out of coaching when he got hired. He had sort of a strange run in New England where he was the OC for a while.
Right.
Yeah. Um, but I do agree, as you said it. I think he was the beneficiary of an incredibly talented Ohio State defense that also had, from at least what I understand, particularly with like the likes of Caleb Downs, like a really like smart group of players too. They weren't just
Yeah.
talented, so they could like understand and implement his offense, which I'm not an expert on this, but as I understand was a relatively complicated on defense rather, a relatively complicated defense even by professional standards. So if you have a coach who has that defense, can teach that, and you have athletes who are great and smart and who can grasp it, I think you have that. That's why I think they're successful. Um, I think that Ohio State needs somebody with a very, very aggressive mindset. And I think they need aggressive play calling. And I'm not sure Arthur Smith brings
I was
that to
gonna
the
say
table.
that don't sound
Yeah.
like Arthur Smith to
So
me.
he scares me for that reason.
Yeah. So we'll see. I don't have a lot of confidence, but then I didn't have a lot of confidence in Matt Patricia
Yeah.
either going into last season. Before we get out of here, we want to remind you, please subscribe, rate, review, let the people know how wonderful we are, especially Jeremy. So until we chat next week, for Jeremy Pink, for Jean-Jacques Taylor, you guys be blessed and keep an eye on your money.
All right. Thanks a lot, everybody. We'll see you next week.